I'm here with Peter. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Vicky.
Thanks. So you're the author of the first live streaming book. Please tell me more about it.
Okay, so I wrote it Periscope came out in March 2015, and by May 2015, I'd written the world's first book, which has now actually been published, all about live streaming. And the reason behind that was that I spent 30 years in broadcast media, in broadcast journalism, so training people one-to-one here and elsewhere around the world, and also writing 3-4 other books on radio and television presentation, production, promotion, journalism and things like that. So when Periscope came out in the kind of the second wave of these live streaming apps, I thought to myself, hold on, a lot of the stuff that I've been training the, inverted commas, professionals on how to appear on camera and radio people about what to say and how to promote a show and how to lead people through a show is now actually really good information for the, I mean this with the greatest respect, the amateurs as well. So I kind of pulled all that information that I'd already got and kind of worked it out for the amateurs, for these new live streaming platforms, and hence the live streaming handbook. Now, the person that's written the foreword is a guy called Al Roker. Now, that may not mean anything to you here, but believe me, in the United States, you can't stop on any street corner without knowing who Al Roker is. He is the a co-host of the Coast to Coast NBC Today Show.
Wow, yeah.
And he's really into his live streaming, got his own production company. He is so big, he's got his own character on The Simpsons. He's appeared in this, so that's really, so that kind of gives an extra authenticity and value to the book. 350 pages, 90,000 words, all about live streaming. Not the techie stuff, because there's some really kind of clever stuff you can do with captions and graphics and lower thirds. Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Periscope keep changing the way that their apps are kind of laid out, what buttons to press. So I don't do that. This is about how to present, how to produce, and how to promote your live streaming show. What to say, when to say it, it's all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of hands-on, valuable information.
Yeah, but as you were saying, digital journalism is evolving all the time, and more amateurs are picking up and doing things themselves. So I think that's really practical. What would you say about the evolution of digital journalism? Where do you think it will go in the next 5 years?
What's really interesting is the creativity. So obviously you can do live streaming from a hot air balloon, you can do it from a drone, down on the ground. Obviously you can do it in a kind of office, in a studio, with your phone, with 360. You can go underwater. I saw a couple of months ago that you can buy little submersibles about the size of a drone that you can live stream from literally at the bottom of a stream. So it really is live streaming. Quite why you'd want to just show fish and things like that, I'm not entirely sure, but you can do. Just last week YouTube announced that they were bringing out the live captioning. So if you're on YouTube live, when you're speaking, the live captions will come up a split second after you've said that word. Not 100% correct, but getting there all of the time. And it's going to learn your voice and what you say and when you correct it. So that soon will be coming to Periscope / Twitter and also Facebook Live. They won't be too far behind. And I heard just yesterday that Periscope is going to be much more integrated in Twitter over the course of this year, because at the moment there's a really kind of awkward, strange, confusing kind of link between them. They've been two separate apps by the same company, but it's more of Periscope's internal workings and capabilities is going to be hard baked into Twitter. That's going to make it much more accessible, much more usable, much more friendly to use.
What would you say your top tips for engaging an audience?
Talk to them, ask them questions, and when they answer, feedback. You know, there's that tier of Facebook distribution. So right at the very, very bottom, then you're going to have, if you just put a text up, that's not going to be shared much at all. But if you put text and a picture, that might be shared a little bit more by Facebook. And if you do a link that takes people out of Facebook, that's not going to be shared much. But if you put a pre-recorded video, that'll be given much more wider distribution. But if you do a live video, that's going to get so much more distribution. So the things you've got to remember is, number one, why are we doing it live, first of all? Because if it turns out to be rubbish and not very engaging, doing, then your pretty poor Facebook Live is just going to be shown to more people, which isn't necessarily a good thing. And once you start, engage them. Ask them questions, because the more comments you've got, then Facebook and the algorithm is going to think to itself, this is obviously engaging, people are interested, they're taking a bit of time to write something, so therefore we'll share it to even more people. Hook people, tease them, tell them what's going to be coming up soon. I did some training for Oxfam, and they used one of the tips that I'd suggested to them when they went round a refugee camp. And what that is they said right at the beginning, I'm going to be showing you the place where the refugees charge up their mobile phones. I'm going to be also showing you where the refugees meet for their meetings, for their communal get-togethers, the kitchens, and inside one of the tents. Okay, so first of all, let's show you that mobile phone charging area, which is the big solar panel. So they did that. Then at the end of that, what they did was, right, in a few moments' time, I'm going to be showing you the kitchens. If you've just joined us, hello, this is who I am. They welcome, they explain, and they say, you've just missed this little bit of information about how they charge up their mobile phones. Then they show the kitchens. After the kitchens, they say, welcome people, explain who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and say, if you just joined us, I've just shown you the kitchens and the solar panel. Watch from the start when we finish, and in a few moments' time I'm going to be showing the meeting room. But first of all, let's go inside. So what you're doing all the time is saying what you're about to do, so people watch for longer, and saying what you've just done, so they can watch again from the start when your once live becomes a recorded video. So you're always teasing, always forward promote and back promote.
So it's like the same techniques you'd use in radio and TV, hook and tease. That's exactly what they do.
Yes,
okay,
indeed.
great. And just thinking about just how different brands, because you've worked with so many different companies. I think you said 300 live streams you've produced and then you've watched over. I was just wondering, what are the most interesting live streams that you've been a part of?
You know what, one of the perhaps most interesting ones was when I was in a local town. So I work for local media, and I was in a local town, and I decided that I would take a town tour, for visitors. So I went to the local museum, I got a 10p guide with a pretty sketchy map and not very good instructions, and I set up my live stream, and I had my gimbal with me and clipped on my microphone and said, right, okay guys, this is what I'm going to be doing, and took them on a tour. Well, inevitably, as I say, I needed help because I got a bit lost. There were new roads that had been put in and the directions weren't very good. So I was asking people, when it says left, does it mean this left or the next left? So people were writing it because they knew the area and they were able to give me directions, they were able to give me help, and I was then able to also answer their questions. They were saying things like to me like, I used to live in this town, I haven't seen it, I'm watching from Australia. Or can you spin round in the high street because I want to see whether that sweet shop is still there that I used to buy my sweets from on the way back home from school, that kind of thing. Went through a churchyard and someone said, my granddad's buried here, can you show his I haven't seen it for years. There was a sign outside the church saying, open today, please come in. So I said, would you like to look inside the church? And everyone's going, yes. So I went in, and they were giving directions, and had about 20,000 people watching that live, which was mind-blowing at the time. But also, they were watching from around the world. They were saying things like, I got married in that church, or I used to be in the choir at that church. Can you, absolutely, that nostalgia, the local history, which is really, really important to people. And people were watching also at their desks in the town and were following the route. And there was a couple of ladies who were working for Boots, the chemist, and they have an office upstairs at the Boots in this town. And they said, we're watching you, and we're in Boots, and we're in the office that's upstairs. And then about 20 minutes when I came up to the high street, they said, we're waving at you. So they'd gone from watching me on their desktop to leaning out of the window waving at me on the live stream, because and suddenly it clicked that all this is kind of, these people aren't remote. Some of them are watching from Australia. Some people are watching right here. That nostalgia, the sense of belonging, the local history. I was able to use their memories to enhance my commentary. They were able to help me with the directions and things like
Created
that.
a sense of community on air.
It
and
really
also in
did.
the town itself.
Absolutely.
that's
So I thought that is something different that you couldn't really get on a pre-recorded video. There wouldn't be any sense, you just wouldn't do it, and you wouldn't get that kind of feedback.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that and talking.
Not